Check. There we go. All right. Sound good?
Can you hear me?
All right, here we go. Well, great to be with you tonight. Great to be here in Washington, D.C. at PubKey, my first visit, and I think your second or third.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome venue. And thanks to the staff here, thanks to Trey, we got to record a little fireside podcast this afternoon, which was great. So I'm Stu Lackey. I am the co-founder and CEO of SOUND HSA. And joining me tonight is Dr. Christian Smith, primary care physician here in the DC, Maryland area. And we're excited to talk to you about the intersection of sound money and sound health. Maybe we could start by maybe a little origin story, Dr. Smith, of kind of your clinical and medical career, but also when and how you found Bitcoin.
Thank you very much for having me. That's so nice to see what PubKey's become. I've seen it while it was being remodeled, and this is such a beautiful venue. I'm an internal medicine doctor, and I always kind of wanted to be a physician. Managed to get into medical school, and then needed to figure out a way of paying for it, so I joined the Army. The Army helped pay for it. I did my training at Walter Reed, and then I worked for 11 years at a hospital as a hospitalist in Frederick, Maryland. And during that time, I kind of got fed up with the way the system worked. I felt burnout. We'd work for about 7 days in a row, and by day 5, I'm ashamed to say, you just don't feel like that same level of empathy, and you're just ready to kind of get a break. And then you would have a week off. The first 2 days, you're just sleeping and recovering, basically, from that stretch. And then, so I was, turning 50 in 2021, and I decided if I was, ever, going to fulfill the dream of having my own medical practice, it was about time to do that. And fortunately, I had discovered Bitcoin. My friend David talked to me about it several times. Eventually, we had a conversation over lunch, and he sent me my first $1 in Bitcoin, and then I played around with it for a year. And I think that's probably a lot of what most people's origin stories with Bitcoin are like, in that you're just kind of figuring it out, and then after about a year, something happens, and it kind of hits you how important this is and how significant it is. And so then from that point, I was all in on Bitcoin, and I have to say it's done a lot. It's changed my life as far as giving me the freedom to and the courage to venture out and do something that's outside of standard traditional medicine practice.
Fantastic, and I know we're going to get into direct primary care, what that is, and how people can benefit from it as we talk a little bit more tonight. A little bit about my background. So I spent 20 years in surgical device startups, scaling revenue channels, building sales teams, and predominantly neurosurgery and orthopedic spine. So I was in the operating room pretty much all day, every day across this country with different technologies. In 2016, I left a startup and was invited to a meetup in Nashville, Tennessee, at a great bourbon bar, by the way, Old Glory. Shout out to those folks. But I almost did not go to that meetup. And a quick decision about 5 minutes before kind of changed my life. Not kinda, it did change my life. I spent 2.5 hours with people that night, and though I went on and continued to work in the device industry, I was always thinking about Bitcoin and continued to accumulate it, study it. And in 2020, I started thinking about the connection of sound money and sound health and products that would tie the two together, most notably the HSA. And so this account that has been around, this product that's been around since 2003, is one of the most extraordinary tax-advantaged accounts that most people don't know about. And we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. And so over the next 3 or 4 years, spent time developing, and in December of 2025, we launched the first Bitcoin native health savings account, and the company's called Sound HSA. And so along with my co-founder, John Gordon, we have been working, onboarding individuals, and now we're working with corporations. We have the ability to access 250 payroll plans now. And so anybody in the audience, anybody listening, if you own, operate a Bitcoin company, or you are connected to what's called a high deductible health insurance plan, we'll talk quickly about what that is, you're eligible for an HSA, and you can open up an account with us. And we believe that that Bitcoin's extremely important for long-term planning generally, but that health should have its own line item, and it's never too early to start as you think about longevity and wellness and kind of your later years and moving with dignity. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what the problem is we're solving. And so Fidelity published a report in 2025 that the average American couple starting at age 65 in today's dollars needs $350,000 to navigate health expenses alone. And most people don't think in those terms. Fidelity is one of the largest HSA, obviously one of the biggest banks, but they have one of the largest HSA membership cohorts in the industry. And so they see the need for that. We spend $5.3 trillion a year in healthcare in this country, and we have some of the worst outcomes. We're the sickest. So we spend the most, but we're the most unhealthy. And so we see again that this is a problem that we're trying to solve for, is to help people amass wealth and strength as they move through their lifetime. The HSA is triple tax advantaged. If you take it through payroll, it's pre-tax, it grows tax-free, it's tax-free on withdrawals for eligible health and wellness expenses. At age 65, it turns into a traditional IRA. You can spend it on anything. You're just taxed at your ordinary income rate. And probably one of the coolest things that we're proud of is the ability to help our customers track out-of-pocket expenses. So really, when it's used most effectively, you should never spend out of your HSA if you don't have to. Sometimes life happens and we have to do those things. But if you can help it, don't spend out of your HSA. Invest it in an asset that'll appreciate, like Bitcoin. And then when you're in perpetuity, you can reimburse yourself for all of those out-of-pocket expenses tax-free. So think about a lifetime of out-of-pocket health expenses, those trips to Walgreens and CVS, that trip to the Met clinic, an ER visit that cost you $2,000 for a son or daughter. Those add up, and that can be extraordinary tax-free reimbursement as you age. And so we've built a product that captures all of that with Sound HSA. Here's the other neat thing. You can spend HSAs on about anything that has to do with medical necessities. So the IRS publishes an annual list of eligible health expenses. But if you have a letter of medical necessity, you can technically buy an infrared sauna. You could do a plunge pool. You could buy your beef through an HSA. So, and again, this is an educational process, but we think preventative, wellness, longevity, this is an active account that you can use today, but can be powerful if you save through it. Real quickly on the high deductible health plan, this is the only eligibility requirement, not the only, but predominantly the big eligibility requirement to contribute to an HSA. And essentially, it's an offset of risk. You have a high deductible health plan, and you pay a premium for you and or your family. You pay up to a certain amount, you pay the deductible, and then at that point, the insurance company pays some combination, like 80-20, of all of those expenses that are covered by the plan. It has a maximum out-of-pocket caveat, meaning after a certain point, so in this example, you hit $5,000, the rest is paid by the insurance company. This is most closely associated to something called major medical or catastrophic insurance. And you and I talked about this quite a bit today. When you couple this with an HSA, you're protecting yourself from a major medical event. And trust me, when I was 30, I thought I was bulletproof. I'm 51 now, and this has been a big health expense year for our family. So this is when this plan makes the most sense. And then when you add on to something like direct primary care, you've got a powerhouse health plan that serves you now, serves you in a catastrophic event if life happens, and then you're also saving in something like an HSA with us for long-term health and wellness. The HSA market, it's about $200 billion. Most of that is in fiat, though. Most people keep their HSAs in cash. And we have an alternative to that. It's a growing market steadily. Actually in town the next couple of days with John Young, who's in the audience tonight. We'll be at the HSA Council meeting for their annual summer meeting here in DC. This is really impactful, and all of us that are Bitcoiners in the room know the power and what we're looking at. You take $100 in 2015, let it sit in cash, that's worth $73 today. The S&P has done okay since 2015, but look what Bitcoin's done from 2015 to the end of 2025. So we know the compounding, historic compounding of Bitcoin. We never guarantee future price, but this is important context that drove the reason why we wanted to build this company. A labral repair for a shoulder at the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, if you can see me, cost $7,100 in 2022. If you paid for that in Bitcoin, it costs you half a Bitcoin. In May of 26, obviously, that Bitcoin had a higher USD price a few months ago. That same surgery cost you 0.1 Bitcoin. The opportunity cost and the benefit of holding Bitcoin in low time preference, Bitcoiners got an 80% price reduction, but the USD price didn't move. So this is a good illustration. This is a real world example. But even if you didn't, what if that shoulder surgery didn't occur till years later? You've got that compounding tax-free growth to pay for a major medical expense like that. And probably one of the most impactful things that we can show you, if you max out a family HSA contribution for 20 years, so you put in $221K, it grows to nearly $8 million at a 30% annual compound annual growth rate. That's tax-free growth in our account. But if you leave that in a taxable account, that's $1.5 million liability. This is the high end, right? This is if you contribute the maximum annual family contribution max. So, but this is what's at stake. So you have all those other benefits and you offset a taxable event like that.
So,
yes.
Suffice to say, you're not suggesting that you wait till 50 to enroll in an HSA with your health insurance account?
No.
Right.
I think any time is now, or any time's a good time. Do it while you're young. You know, you don't have to put the maximum in, and you don't have to use our product. We tell everybody, open an HSA if you have access to it, and continue to invest in it long term. This is our product. You can go to soundhsa.com. We have built the first Bitcoin native health savings account that allows you to hold real Bitcoin. It's not an ETF, it's not a proxy, it's not MicroStrategy, it's not any of that. It's actual Bitcoin, multi-sig, multi-institutional cold storage. And I'll show you the custody arrangement here shortly. We built a UX, this wireframe. This is what you see when you download our app and you open an account with us. This is the user experience we wanted to create. Simple, elegant, clean, and allows people to feel empowered. The custody arrangement, the HSA issuer is Horizon Trust. They're a non-bank custodian out of New Mexico. They've been in business for 20 years. They do self-directed IRAs and HSAs all day long, and we orange build them. They issue our HSA. Our other two custody partners are Unchained Capital, which is a common name in this room, probably best in class, have been doing self-directed Bitcoin IRAs for nearly 10 years now. They hold a key along with Horizon Trust. The third key is Gannett Trust, which is a subsidiary of Unchained, again, a trusted entity. So these three entities hold a key in our multi-institutional, multi-sig cold storage solution. We are on track to also, for clients who want to hold a key or keys in the arrangement, they will be able to. It is on the roadmap, and Unchained enables that. So are there any Unchained customers in the audience? Okay, a couple. So when you look on your dashboard, you have a vault. You will have a Sound HSA vault in that dashboard in that example. So excited to offer this, to get the product to market, and we are super excited about a roadmap. What's to come? We also started something called Move to Earn, separate of the regulated HSA. Allows anyone in a corporate wellness plan to earn Bitcoins for steps. We launched this in April of 25 at Bitcoin Vegas, and we had, I think, 3,000 downloads, and we did a step challenge that whole week. Anybody that hit 50,000 steps, I think, got 21,000 sats. We had people participate from Ghana, from here in North America, Europe, all South America, Central America, all over the world. And it's been pretty awesome that a lot of people's first Bitcoin was Bitcoin they earned for physical work. But we offer this to our corporate accounts, our corporate clients who want to incorporate a wellness strategy. So if you're interested in that, you can come talk to me. This is my co-founder. I wish he were here tonight. An incredible individual and a true Bitcoiner, and totally devoted to freedom tech and seeing Bitcoin succeed, John Gordon. And with that, we'll move into direct primary care. Thank you.
So if you're not familiar with what direct primary care is, it's a medical model. It really functions to reinforce the doctor-patient relationship, which is probably what's most important about it. They tend to be smaller practices. They're not all the same. There's some differences between different practices, so you have to do your research and find one that works well for you. Fewer patients means more attention for the patient. There's transparent pricing, which the price of care is what you pay. There's no billing changes. There's no adjustments according to some insurance plan. And then the third-party payers, let's see. Oh yeah, so I already touched on that. No prior authorizations. So there's less restrictive as far as the interaction between the doctor and patient relationship. And so this is not really something that's new. It's been around for a very long time. Starting in, I think most people can have some knowledge that starting in the 1930s, this was very popular. It continued through probably the 60s and started to fade away between the 70s and 80s. And I think the next slide shows us, this is a photo by W. Eugene Smith. He's a photojournalist. This was a famous photo essay from Life magazine that documented a doctor, a physician by the name of Ernest Sirianni. He lived in a mining community in Kansas, and he lived there. He was part of that life with the people that he cared for. And so this is no longer health care, it's just plain care. His visits to somebody's home was because he cared about it, and that's really what medicine should be. That's what I'm trying to emulate with my medical practice.
We talked about on the podcast that we recorded earlier, I remember our family doctor coming to our home when I was sick as a kid. And that was the last time I remember seeing him in our home, but he used to made house calls. So that was standard of care.
Right.
when I was growing up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't mean to suggest that all direct primary cares do this. Most of them are probably set up very similar to what your experience is with a traditional doctor's office. I do home visits, so that's personally, this is something that I'm trying to emulate myself.
That's fantastic. So differences between traditional insurance and direct primary care, you kind of touched on a few of those, but I think highlighting some of the significant differences is poignant.
The patient experience is what the healthcare, the medical experience used to be. It's more human. Everybody's familiar with the traditional model, waiting weeks to get an appointment. The very brief appointments, I think the average is about 7 minutes per interaction, and often you don't have the same person that you visited, and which means that you can have 5 visits for the same problem, all the while you're expending co-pays and travel and time and sitting in a waiting room. And the direct primary care model is access. I get text messages. Most of them do. You can text the doctor. They respond. You can get an appointment either the same day or next day. I take it a step further. You don't have to travel, and I see you in your office or in your home, and you don't have to sit in a waiting room with people coughing and catching things. But that's what else to say about that experience? I think it's more focused on preventative care in that established relationship, and I'm able to. So, for example, one of my initial visit with somebody might be an hour and a half long, very typically. That means I sit and I interview the patient. I get to know where'd you grow up? Are you from Maryland? Or where'd you go to school? I get to know about their lives, different, are they married? Did they have kids? Where are the kids? What are happening in their lives? And then I share my experience. I tell them a little bit about how I came to be sitting in their living room, and tell them what I believe about health, and hopefully that agrees with what their beliefs are. And then we come up with a plan of, in broad strokes, of how we move forward in getting them to where they want to be in their healthcare journey.
We talked a little bit about longevity and some of the newer interests that we're seeing in our culture, right? There's plenty that's been written and published on wellness and longevity. Maybe talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, personally, it's something I'm very interested in. And again, to touch back on what Stuart mentioned, that you really need to be embracing this at a younger age. I didn't tell you this part. At the beginning of June, I took my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. And at 54, it's not recommended. I got through the class, but my back felt just different. It wasn't painful. It was not right. So I'm going back to lower impact stuff. Anyways, take those classes in your 30s, and then have that proof of work in place. But there's other things you can do. So ideally, dietary changes. I have strong beliefs that seed oils, which have never existed in our diet prior to around 1910, have a lot to do with inflammation in our bodies. I really strongly believe that we've been on this planet for 2 million years, and for the vast majority of that time, we ate meat. And very occasionally, we would have some, we'd gather some berries and nuts and whatnot. We didn't even figure out how to plant food and have agriculture until about, maybe 20 to 50,000 years ago. So that is what led us to our intelligence. We became apex predators on the planet. We have had so many amazing advancements that we just caught a rocket last year. That was a year ago, which is amazing. So, yeah, what enabled us to have brains that had the capacity for that kind of thought was that diet. But changes happened early in the 20th century. Crystallized cottonseed oil was a thing. Vegetable oils was primarily used as industrial lubricants, diesel fuel, and then it appeared to look like lard. And then a couple world wars and rationing happened, and you couldn't get lard. It was sent to the front lines. And so more people used these vegetable oil products. And by 1955, I think Eisenhower had a heart attack. And this is, I want to give Nina Teicholz credit for a lot of this. She shares these stories in her conversations. But the doctors taking care of Eisenhower felt that it was his eating meat that was the cause for his heart attack. And so that became the narrative moving forward of what was the cause for heart disease. And I don't think that that's really been really well established. And as a matter of fact, there's been, you can, if you're familiar with the Minnesota coronary experiment, was a study done in the late 60s to early 70s, where two cohorts were given saturated fat diets and unsaturated fat diets, and everyone totally believed that the unsaturated fat diet cohort would have better outcomes, and that was not the case. That research was buried until the 90s when it first was revealed, and because it didn't fit with the narrative. So that it shows us a track record of medical authority, pharmaceutical companies, and probably some insurance influence that is created a body of knowledge that is suspect or tainted, which is going to be challenging moving forward. Even today, I would say, I did a quick, I asked Grok what the best diet I should eat to help prevent heart disease, and it still felt that low red meat and diet with, it just astounds me, which it's unfortunate because but you understand how these work. These AI models will basically scrape the data that already exists and give it back to you. So we're dealing with powers that poison the data, and now we're living in a world with the effects of that poisoning causing metabolic disease, and we have to try to figure out how to find our way out of it.
Yeah, I think to maybe sum up what you just said about the relationship between the patient and the physician, you work in concert with your patients. You have a specific philosophy rooted in clinical data, but also in practical experience. And I think that's probably important for whether you're a DPC patient or you're going through your normal network, that you find a physician that you align with and that is an advocate for you and has independent thought. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of that early interaction, that interview that I have with a patient, is try to see what their if we're compatible, and to see if they believe what I'm saying, and most of them have been agreeable, and so what we would then do is we work on plans for what is your health going to look like moving forward. So do you expect to be 100 years old and what will that look like? You know, if you investing, you're buying Bitcoin, and you believe in Bitcoin increasing in value, I would expect that you would want to be present to be able to reap the fruits of that investment. So that might be at some age, but you want to be as functional as possible. You don't want to be 100 years old and lying in a hospital bed. You might want to travel. You want to see your great-grandchildren. So that means being able to do things like lift a carry-on into an overhead compartment. What do you need to do? What kind of exercises do you need to do now to ensure that you can do that? And then, of course, there are certain exercises that align with longevity as well.
Right. Yeah. I had an old coach that said, everybody wants to win on Saturdays, but who wants to prepare on Mondays and throughout the week? So this is, I think, an important piece of information just in terms of what's included. I mean, and I just in full disclosure, I've had direct primary care membership off and on for probably the last 10 years. And, you know, the physician gave me their phone number and I had direct access. And if I needed to see them, it was the same day. I mean, by design, they keep a lower role of patients so that, to Dr. Smith's point, they can spend more time with their patients. And that's what it's supposed to look like. I mean, the days of physicians having 600 or 700, 800 people on their rolls that they have to see on an annual basis, to do it in a healthier manner, where the physician has a better engagement with their patient, better quality of life. The patient feels like they're getting value for value in that relationship.
Well, I think those were very small panels the numbers that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So my goal is to have maybe 100 patients.
Yeah.
Tops. And again, I'm not using my practice as the model. I kind of trying to elevate the practice to something that I think is better. Most direct primary cares are going to be costing about $100 to $150 a month for membership. You will get access. You will get good response from the doctors. You will get likely discounted labs. My labs are included with my price, and often they coordinate with other cash-paying physicians, like the Oklahoma Surgery Center that you had mentioned before, and other services that take cash payment at a great discount for medical care, X-rays, labs.
And you accept Bitcoin at your practice?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Via Zaprite, correct?
That's correct. John Gordon helped me set up Zaprite on my website.
Just one more slide or two, and then we'll take some questions. We talked about modeling. If you accept, who's got insurance through their employer in the crowd? Okay. Well, a lot of times you'll have two options, sometimes maybe three, but there'll be what they call a PPO network, which is usually more expensive in terms of a monthly premium, but you're not out of pocket as much for like a max compared to like a high deductible health plan. But we kind of ran the math pretty quickly. You can do this route, right? And some people feel comfortable, they want to do that, and every decision is individual, of course, to each his own. But when combining a DPC with something like a high deductible health plan, you have the ability, again, to manage today, help and manage the catastrophic events as they come, and then leave a little bit more to maybe save for your future, right? And in our case, in Bitcoin. And so there's a huge delta between the annual costs. Even though that this may seem more attractive on the front end, this gives you more optionality. And honestly, this was the way that healthcare was designed originally, was more akin to this model. And with that, we're done. Happy to take questions. Thank you very much. We've got
Oh, thank goodness. I was going to say you might have to repeat my question if I don't have a microphone. So thank you for both of your insights. I can't help but think about the woeful lack of literacy in this country when it comes to money, Bitcoin, healthcare, where to go. So here's my question. If we look at the landscape of Americans, where would you tell the normal American where to go to first identify or vet a good direct primary care physician? And second, where would you tell the average American to go to understand the difference between the money that they've always had and this idea of Bitcoin?
You want to go first on DPC?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I'm not sure if there's a good answer for it. I think that there are networks of doctors who take cash for services. Yeah, I would imagine that they are aligned with some kind of DPC organization. There are organizations like Crowd Health, which I think would be able to, the health share organizations that can direct people to direct primary care physicians networked that are, they track physicians that participate in different networks. They would tend to favor those kind of doctors because they tend to be less expensive. I think that that's what you bring up, a very good point, which alludes back to my other comment about the corpus of medical information being tainted, and how do we find the signal? How do we find the doctors that are doing something a little bit different? Maybe they don't quite trust what has been established before. And I think that there's, I think Noster and Nos Fabrica are working on a web of trust solution called Brainstorm that will provide trust and value to connections that you make on Noster. And through the expansion of those connections, you will be able to find the truth through the noise.
I would add something that I actually had to do to find direct primary care physicians is just a local query through, search engine of choice. Hint Health is an organization that provides software management, soup to nuts, for direct primary care. MDVIP is a national organization of direct primary care. However, I would offer this caveat. Many of those physicians, I won't say all because I don't know, many of those physicians are physicians that exist within insurance models but have carved out a portion of their schedule to be direct primary care concierge physicians. So I would direct you to do a local query of your local zip or surrounding metro area, and you'll probably find multiple direct primary care. And then you'd have to go through and figure out what's the best fit. Most of them publish their pricing on their websites too, so you'll get a range of pricing depending on what services are offered, to your earlier comment. On the second question, I think it is the $1 million question. What are the best resources? I think anybody listening or watching this or in this room, it's like, what are the best resources to orange pill, not even orange pill, just help people understand the delineation of what you just asked about. And for me, I have my favorites. I think The Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth is probably the most consequential book that I really understood about the deflationary impact of technology and what happens to our money over time. It's a great resource. Obviously, the Bitcoin Standard. I think Larry Lepard's book, The Big Print, has been helpful as well. And there's a litany of podcasters out there who I think are steeped in Bitcoin and what it represents and the freedom tech to offer good insights and helpful insights. But those are some that I would direct you to.
I would like to add as well, my website, premierdpc.org. I've got some resources, some information, some basic discussions on integrating Bitcoin and healthcare and how to make those make that happen for people that are relatively new to it. I'm also, I wanted to announce that I'm making 10 memberships available. So if anybody's interested, I'll make my card available, or you can go to my website. Again, that's, is it up there?
Oh, yeah.
It
We,
is.
we took care of it.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions?
I have one. As far as the HSA goes, I was dumb when I first started my job after college and just never opened one. So I spent 15 years working, never contributed to an HSA. I'm kicking myself now. Is the only way to open an HSA is to have an HSA like with an employer and to like roll it in, or are there other options? And if not, like, are there things that are being talked about in maybe the policy world that we could push for?
An important question. Thank you. So to answer your first question, no, you don't have to have an existing HSA and transfer it in. You can open up a new HSA at any point in time, and you can have as many HSAs as you want. Like you can have as many IRAs as you want. You just can't exceed the maximum annual contribution. So this year for a family is $8,750, for an individual is $4,400. Just can't exceed that. But you can open up an HSA, what's called an open market HSA, at any point in time if you have a high deductible health plan. Now, what happens if you don't have a high deductible health plan anymore, but you had an HSA? Can't contribute to it under law, but you still can reap all the other benefits. So, for example, at Sound, we have a number of customers who no longer have a high deductible health plan, but they have this HSA that's been there for a while. They've just transferred it in and they've bought a bunch of Bitcoin with it. So that's the biggest caveat for most people, is that high deductible health plan to contribute new funds to an HSA.
As a Crowd Health customer, I no longer have a high deductible health plan, so I think I missed the boat on that. So I'll just buy Bitcoin, and then maybe when I get one, maybe that leads into the policy side. Like, is there any talk about, like, is HSA why is it only for those who have a high deductible?
Well, it is an important question. So there are a lot of efforts underway to decouple the HSA from the high deductible health plan. Everybody in this room, everybody in America should have access to an account like this. Now, it may look different. It may be Rothified to where you pay tax on the way in, but you get everything, the growth and the withdrawals, tax-free. But I'm confident that that will happen, and there are a lot of people that are really working to make sure that that happens. The big beautiful bill that went into effect of January this year had, I think, 10 provisions, new provisions around HSA eligibility. One of which is you can use HSA proceeds to pay for direct primary care now. Before January of this year, you couldn't do that. It's ridiculous, but that's changed. There are some other efforts to allow contributions to occur past the age of 65. Currently, you cannot contribute to an HSA past 65, and if we're all going to live to 100, we're going to need a little more time to contribute to the HSA. So there are a lot of people in this town that are committed to making the HSA more widely available. Oh, one more thing. We actually have some Crowd Health customers who have their families insured with Crowd Health, but they've opened a very high deductible individual policy so they can have access to the HSA. So they'll pay the premium, Crowd Health insures their family, but then they can stack Bitcoin tax with all the tax advantages. So you can do that too.
Stu, I'm curious, with your client base, what's your sense in terms of how people are all in on Bitcoin, or they've sent you 20% of their HSA balance, and on that kind of asset allocation spectrum?
Thank you for the question. I think as we go forward, you're going to see a much wider variety of people are early. And again, we launched our wait list in December of last year. We went full market release in March of this year. So we've only been really active for 4 months. We're onboarding corporates again. And so I think it's highly possible that some people's first Bitcoin will be Bitcoin they put in our product because of pre-tax contribution. But up to this point, it's been hardcore Bitcoiners, and we have a wide variety of ages. Some people have had HSAs for 30 years, and they've transferred their entire HSA and smash bought Bitcoin, which is pretty telling. So I'm very careful because age-wise, it's pretty wide-ranging even at this point. HSA balances, as it would make sense, the longer the account has been open, typically those funds, there's more funds, there's a higher balance AUM in there. So. All right.
All right, any more questions? All right, well, thank you guys. This was great. Give a round of applause for Stu and Christian.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.